Hello. It's probably a bit late to say a Happy New Year, but it feels like that because, well, it's the first time this year that the show is back on. And I've got a new camera. The whole setup is a little bit different. So I need to kind of look up and down a little bit. Check my hair. And I hope that's all okay. There are quite a few people there already. That is just fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me again. My apologies for the relatively lengthy break. Um, it turned out to, in the end, be much longer than I had planned. It was just planned to be over Christmas, but then there was the January Reiki challenge, and I started a travel schedule with various stops in the UK. In Airbnbs, staying with friends in various places. So I'm a bit of a nomad at the moment. And it just took some time to basically kind of settle a little bit enough to get back online. I feel it's really, really important to be here regularly. Let me just see at some greetings. This is so, so nice to see you all. There are just so many names that I recognize who trained with me, who have been in touch over the years. So this is just absolutely fabulous. I am trying to do this again every week. There may be the odd situation where I am on a plane or something like that, where I can't do that. But I'm trying wherever I am. At the moment, I'm in some kind of Airbnb, as you can see with this interesting background behind me. It was the best I could find. It is so crowded here. All sorts of things on the walls. Lovely place in Brighton, but it's just a lot as a background. And I'm just looking, there are a few people from the States where I will at some stage be again, which is great. And yeah, it's all interesting to be here. And it seems to work. So nobody has complained that you can't understand me. So my new was there. My new microphone seems to work, and my camera seems to work. Everything is a little bit more professional, which is primarily because I am intending to use some clips of these shows for YouTube Shorts, for TikTok, and for Instagram. And I'm posting on these platforms now at least twice a day. In the future, it will be 3 times a day. And the idea is to just stop for a moment, 60 seconds. It's taken some time until I got to the 60 seconds. I'm now pretty good, sometimes only 45 seconds or so. But it means you have to really get straight to the point and get people's attentions. And when you have them for these 45 or 60 seconds, then it may be these seconds that have an impact. It may be in the middle of the day that somebody just scrolls up and down through their social media and suddenly listens something that makes sense. Not that nothing else makes sense on there, but there is quite a bit that is for primarily entertainment purposes. And this is not just for entertainment, even though sometimes I appear a bit weird where I'm standing. I was by the sea and in a busy shopping street a few days ago. And I just kind of try to be in different situations and relate what we are doing with Reiki to everyday life. And this, I think, is just so, so important. Just these little moments when we just take a deep breath and feel our connection to Reiki, and it just kind of reshuffles things. I think it's just so, so incredible that we have this tool, and even more important, to share it with as many people as possible. So if it inspires some people to learn Reiki for themselves, to get a Reiki treatment, and to look at life in a different way, well, it basically serves its purpose. That's the whole idea. I literally got on here when I looked at my screen and showed there are 15 seconds left. So I probably feel a little bit rushed, and I'm slowly calming down. the last 10 days have been quite exciting. I've recorded my second book, Proof of Reiki, Proof of Eternity, as an audiobook, which will be out in about a week's time. So that was one of the big projects. And now I'm about to film another online course, and then all these social media clips. So there's quite a lot going on. And I really feel it's needed, that there's more and more going on. And I really feel there is a lot of momentum at present. And that's very, very exciting. So what we can do is, first of all, to use Reiki for ourselves. And not just to give Reiki to ourselves, but also to get it from other people. And this is part of the show every time. I'm just looking at that. This is a really good camera. I'm just very, very excited about that. So this is what we're going to do every time we are doing a Reiki share and we are giving each other Reiki. I realized that quite a few people kind of go in and out the shows. So I feel 45 or even 60 minutes was a bit long. So I'm trying to keep it somewhere around the 30 minutes in the future. And of course, the majority of people watches it after a replay. And I just love the feedback that they can still feel the community and they can still feel the energy during the Reiki share. So when we talk about, let me have a look. So it just feels a bit weird because the difference between the computer and the camera is a little bit more than it was before. So you'll probably see me looking up and down. I'm just looking at some questions. And thank you for watching on Instagram. That is so nice. Are you recording an online master course? As a matter of fact, I am. Which nobody knows about so far. So it's the first time that this is I'm actually sharing it. It's a master teacher course. So it is not just about becoming a Reiki master. It is primarily about how to teach Reiki. And it's going to take me another month or two to what's that? Yeah, it will take me another month or two to complete that, and then it will be a resource for people who want to teach Reiki. What else is there? I talked about the audiobook. I was talking about, I'm just sharing all my new projects here at present. If you are in the UK, I will be here for another 2 months. And at the end of April, I'm offering the Reiki Science course in a deeper, updated version, which means that there are more exercises in there as a live course in London. So if you are in the UK, it would just be so amazing to see you there in person. It's on the website reikiscienceacademy.com. And I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, so soon I'll be in the United States again. Let's see how that works out. There is a plan. I can't quite see it at the moment, though, but I'm absolutely certain there is a plan. And I think part of this plan is the regular YouTube show, and part of this plan is the social media clips. And that's really interesting. There are comments. I comment very rarely on social media, but it's really interesting to read the comments on the videos. And I did one about reincarnation a few days ago. And there was quite a lot of backlash. That was really interesting, much more than when I talk about Reiki, and I thought it was interesting. And there was one man who posted, "Do you have even a shred of evidence for what you're claiming?" And I felt compelled to answer. So I put underneath, of course I do. There is a lot of evidence. Just read my book, Proof of Reiki, Proof of Eternity. There's a lot about past life regression. There are books by Brian Weiss. It is very well documented that this is not coming from our mind. But of course, what about Reiki? When we talk with people about Reiki, there is a lot of um, hesitance in terms of, I I probably need to believe in that, or it's a placebo effect, or something like that. But a lot of people ask whether there is scientific evidence. And of course, there is scientific evidence. But what really annoys me is that so many people hold, well, science sacrosanct. If it's not scientifically proven, it cannot be real, it cannot be true. And there is a huge misunderstanding behind that. So as I titled this today's show, Reiki and Science, this is really what I want to get into a little bit, just to understand what it means to have scientific evidence for Reiki. So first of all, a lot of what we take for, well, common sense, no, the common knowledge, undisputed, like the endocrine system in the body, the hormones regulating everything. Um, Science hotly disputed 100 years ago. So science develops and evolves. Science is not always the same. So if something cannot be scientifically proven, it does not mean that it does not work, that it is not real or effective. It may mean, and I'm not chickening out of the science bit, I'm just mentioning this really important fact. It may well be that science hasn't caught up with, well, the world. What is science? Science tries to understand the world. Science then brings things together, and sometimes there is something like a quantum leap in some understanding. And well, the famous word rocket science, we build a rocket, and then the rocket goes into space. But space was there before. So we try to research things, but this is really the main idea behind science, to do proper research. And there has been a lot of research when it comes to Reiki. But it's not really, or just to see the comment, the pseudoscience. Yes, a lot of people see Reiki as a pseudoscience, just as they see acupuncture or homeopathy or so as pseudosciences. And the question is, what is pseudo? It means it is semi or it is not scientific. And I'm sorry, these people, primarily on Wikipedia, got it entirely wrong because they haven't understood the most important aspect. They don't know what science is. They claim something is not scientific, but they don't even think about what science is. Science means a scientific approach. And the scientific approach is very simple. It has 4 steps. The first is we observe something. We are mindful, so to say. We observe that when there's a lot of wind, there are a lot of waves. And then we come to the conclusion, the more wind there is, the stronger the wind is, the higher the waves. And then we do an experiment. We put a bowl of water somewhere, and we use a hairdryer, or I don't know what, how we artificially create wind, and turn it higher and higher, and see whether the ripples or waves get bigger or not. And then we come to a conclusion. Either we've understood that every time the wind becomes stronger, the waves get bigger, or that it is only when it comes from a certain angle. So we may have learned something else on the way, or maybe there is no real connection, and then our original idea that when there's a lot of wind, the waves are very high, has been disproven. The original idea is called hypothesis. So we observe something, we come to a conclusion, a hypothesis. Then we do an experiment, or ideally lots of experiments, to get lots of data, and then we see whether it has worked or not, and we need to keep an open mind. So what are we doing with Reiki? We have observed people doing Reiki, practicing Reiki. So what do we do then? We heard that, or these people claim that people feel better after a Reiki treatment. So that's the hypothesis. Somebody gives somebody a Reiki treatment and the person feels better. What do? We sit down, ask somebody to give us a Reiki treatment and try it out for ourselves. And how do we feel? Calmer, more relaxed. We feel warmth. If we have a headache, the headache may be less afterwards. And then we come to a conclusion. And the conclusion is normally, in well over 90% of people who receive a Reiki treatment, there is definitely a before and after. So what I want to postulate is every single Reiki treatment we give or receive is science. And the more treatments we give, the more data we have. The problem is that we don't normally do it in a controlled environment. But there is just so incredibly much in terms of data now available, in terms of stories, that it is absolutely clear that Reiki works. Another question is how exactly it works. And this is something that has been very little researched. That is the problem. It's the lack of data in that field. Generally, it's assumed that it stimulates the body's self-healing abilities. Now, when somebody has surgery, afterwards, the wound is stitched back together, and then we hope for the best. And normally, it takes a few days, sometimes a few weeks, for the wound to close and to heal. They're negative ions, so there is a lot of healing going on, and there are different chemical, physiological processes in this wound for it to heal. There's cell growth, there is kind of reconnection of tissue, and so on. So all that happens there. When we give it Reiki, it happens faster. That is the simple truth. And I think it's the University of Pennsylvania. I'm not entirely certain. I need to look it up again, but there is this test or this experiment done, this research project was done a few years ago with people who had a knee replacement. I think about 100 patients. 50% got, after the knee replacement, after the surgery, got regular Reiki treatments for, I think, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and the others not. Those who got the Reiki treatments healed 3 times faster. We still don't know what else is happening in the body. There's nothing additional happening in the body, but it just works with more energy. It heals more quickly. As simple as that. This is very scientific. And relaxation is actually one of the few chemical reactions that can be measured, because we can measure we can take blood samples, we can measure the heart rate, we can measure the stress hormones in the body, and this has been done before and after Reiki treatments, and Reiki has a significant effect. So there is so much evidence. But it's really not about that. It is about the scientific approach. And that means we need to be open. We need to be open to learning every single day. And if we gently bring that across, that if somebody says, is there scientific evidence? The best evidence is to make that person a scientific research object, and just ask them to sit down for a moment, give them 10 minutes of Reiki, and then let them experience the before and after. We normally assume that when we give a Reiki treatment, the person feels a change, a positive change afterwards. So that's the hypothesis. Then we give the Reiki treatment and then we get the results. It is so incredibly scientific what we are doing. And once we step into this confidence, then we can argue with every scientist. They don't do anything else. They just do it on different levels and and in a laboratory. But that's basically the only difference. Well, this is really what I wanted to bring across. Of course, there is a lot of evidence, and we'll talk about some more evidence in other YouTube shows. I'll also post a lot on social media in the future so that people can actually go to these scientific papers. But also, you just have to go to the Reiki Revolution website, thereikirevolution.com, and there you find a lot of evidence. You find data from a big research project, and you can find a lot of information on the water tests that I have done. So this is basically what I wanted to bring across. And looking at the time, I seem to have managed it in more or less 20 minutes. And looking at the people, there are still people online, even more than at the beginning, which is great. So it's really a bit weird for me to be here again after this long break. So I'm getting more into it. Next time it will be a little bit less rushed. But I really feel it's just wonderful to have this connection again and to share Reiki, which this is all about. So I would like to invite you to give each other Reiki now. Another science in motion project. We come up with the hypothesis that when we are all together, even over a distance, and we connect to Reiki and then set our intention to connect with everybody else on this Reiki share, everybody else will feel something. And while we do that, we feel Reiki differently from how we normally give Reiki ourselves because we get it from so many people at the same time. That's the hypothesis. And now we are doing the experiment and putting that into practice. So when you are ready, just bring your hands together for a moment and connect to Reiki. And you can either just use your intention, or if you have learned Reiki 2, just draw the connection symbol and set your intention to connect with everybody who is live here now or who is going to watch a replay later for this Reiki share, and then just let the energy flow. I've just looked at the comments, and if you have not learned Reiki as yet, just sit there. You are included in this Reiki share and just see if you can feel something. If you're suffering from a problem, whether it's a physical problem, something emotional, or your life circumstances, just set your intention that Reiki may help you with this problem. The beauty is there's nothing you need to do. You can just receive Reiki and let it flow through you to everybody else. And then you can slowly bring your hands together and take a moment to thank Reiki and slowly come back into the here and now. So I'm still kind of working on this slightly changed time scale. Maybe we need to do it a little bit longer than 30 minutes, somewhere towards 40 minutes or so in the future. And if you have any ideas what we should talk about, if you have any questions, of course, you can always post them in the chat box on the right, but you can also email them beforehand. You can just reply to the reminder emails I'm sending, or just send me an email, torsten@thereikirevolution.com, and I'll be very happy to kind of together look into these different aspects. I'm absolutely certain if one person has a question, then there are a lot of people who would love to hear about that as well. So this is basically it for today. And I thank you so much. It feels really, really good to be back and to reconnect and to have this regularity again. So this time it's Brighton. Next time, next Tuesday, I'll be in London. It's just kind of here and there. It's a very interesting life at the moment. But before long, I'll be in the States again. And then we'll see what happens. The world really needs healing, help, and change. And Reiki can inspire to do that. Reiki itself can also bring so much change, but it can give us the energy and the momentum to live from our heart and to reach out from our heart, which is some of the videos I've just put on social media are based on this and give some ideas to think from the heart, to give a hug from the heart, to react from the heart. There are so many ways how we can actually live from the heart, and Reiki takes us straight to our heart. Reiki opens us up to our soul, which is essentially what is our heart. So it's just so wonderful to have you all here. And there is this question to do a Reiki share at some stage for the world. I think this will be fabulous to do. So let's just think about it, how we can do that, so that it really has an effect. I don't know, not necessarily a measurable effect, but just something where we feel this is right, this makes sense, this is where we are sending it to. And let's just see how that all goes, what we come up with. Thank you so much for your input. Thank you that you are, well, all over the world, and we can still connect online. The internet really brings us together, and I so often am annoyed about the internet. Especially then when I can't make the technology work. But it is a wonderful thing that can bring us together, and it can be used for so many negative things, but also to bring healing and help to every corner in the world. And this is what I feel we need to do. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you very soon again. I just realized, this is just crazy. I just realized that I normally play an introduction, and I forgot. But I can still play the ending. I'm doing that now. So lovely to see you again. See you next week.